Boom, 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 boom. That's terrible. Hello and welcome to CineQuest Video. Today we're going to be talking about, again, one of the best, greatest sitcoms of all time, Seinfeld. And again, I'm your host, Ray. I have Bryce joining me again, and we also have Ron as well, joining us for episode 4. Say hello, everyone.
Hello. How's it going?
All right. This episode, if you haven't heard any of the episodes that we've done yet, you get to know Bryce and I in episode 1, and Ron comes in at episode 3, and you get to know a little bit of his background with Seinfeld as well. So check those out if you haven't already. But now we're on to episode number 4, season 1. This one is called Male Unbonding. Now, in this episode, Jerry has an old friend that he doesn't like very much, but he feels almost obligated to see him, to visit with him, to do all these things. And I ask you, gentlemen, has there ever been a point in time, and mind you, there no names need to be mentioned.
I was about to say, man. I mean,
that kids grow up, friends grow up, they grow apart. That's just life. But sometimes there's friends that you just don't mesh well, you don't gel with anymore like you used to. And they keep wanting to hang out. And you feel maybe there's an obligation in you to do so. And there's just nothing in you that can say, you know what, we're done here. And you just keep on doing it as much as it annoys you. Now, do you all have any instances where you have a situation like that?
Yeah, man. There was a guy I used to hang out with, a couple of friends, but the other guy we would meet at his house basically. Well, damn, I don't know if I could. No, I'm not gonna say all. We would meet at his house.
No
right?
names.
But,
no
I
names.
was trying to if I give too much specifics, I don't know if you guys ever listen to this, but.
Right. 10 years from now, he happens to be listening to this episode. He's like, son of a bitch.
10 years from now, I need to do a job interview with him, and he hears it.
Yeah.
You were talking about me, you son of a bitch.
He plays the clip back.
Was this me you were talking about? No, but we would hang out with him a lot. But dude, he would get to he liked to indulge a bit with the liquor, and he would just get kind of he would get a little angry sometimes, and it was just he became real uncomfortable. So eventually, he would stop kind of showing up, and he tried reach out to us to text on a group text, and slowly but surely we kind of stopped texting back, and then I just remember he just last thing was I guess everyone's too fucking busy to text. I don't know, he said something, and then that was the last we talked to him, or at least I talked. I don't know if my other friends kept up with them, but yeah, dude, it's I've had a few friends more recently, there's people that they want to hang out, and it's just kind of you always feel bad, you don't want to, but you feel bad about kind of letting them down in some ways. I don't know, man, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But I won't.
Yeah.
All right.
I won't mention any names on that one. I'll say for myself as well, I've had instances where I have friends that I've had for years, and we don't talk for a while, and at some point or another, either I find out that they have very strong beliefs that I just don't agree with anymore. Now, you can, take that as you will. It could be political, it could be religious, could be just their general idea of how they see other people.
Flat earthers.
Flat earthers. I just don't want to hang out with them anymore necessarily. Now, I feel like they're okay people to be around, but whenever they have to bring all this stuff up, you're just oh, God, now you got to either what is the protocol here? Do I call them out and really ruin this relationship, or do I just kind of keep the peace and just not say anything and just kind of try and brush things off and move on to something else, something that we both have in common? Usually which trumps anything else that they're talking about. But I also have had instances where friends tend to be a little bit more intrusive, and they kind of try to push their way in more than they need to. and then that's kind of blown up in my face as well. But I mean, I don't think I've never cut anyone off deliberately or intentionally. Sometimes it just happens, and I ain't mad at it.
Yeah.
What about you, Ron? Do you have any
Uh,
instances like that?
Nothing like intentionally like that. I guess I'll say what you say. Sometimes you just don't talk to people anymore, like talk to friends anymore, and stuff like that. I mean, case in point, it's been a minute since we've talked or hung out, but it doesn't because like of anything crazy. It just happens, like
Yeah, just life happens. Things are
yeah.
busy.
So stuff like that. But I guess I've never to the point where it's like, no, like I don't want to talk to this person. Like I guess if I once hung out with you or like interacted with you and was cool with you in the first place, like that means you're already in. And
Yeah,
I wouldn't have like shown up to like the very first hangout with anybody or anything like that
Yeah,
if I didn't like vibe in the first place. So like,
no, I got you. Yeah. I just don't feel like there's any instances where like it's deliberate on any of our parts. But things just happen. But in this case, Jerry just can't seem to get rid of this person. His name is Joel Hornick. As a childhood friend who persists on keeping in touch with him, he does not like Hornick and does not pay attention to anything Jerry says. Basically, like Jerry talks to him, he just ignores him and stuff like that. I have friends like that that do things like that as well. And Jerry says that makes him feel uncomfortable, and he wants to break up with Hornick. Breaking up with a male friend. That
was the stand-up bit in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
About how do you break up with a guy like a guy friend?
Yeah.
But of course, it comes into better play whenever it comes to the show. Oh man, I really have issues with Jerry's stand-up in the very beginning. I'm glad they kind of get rid of it later on in the episodes or the series, and they kind of just go into because we already know Jerry by that point. Whenever they cut all that stuff off, I don't think there's been a point in time where I've been like, you know what, I'm glad they kept this stand-up in because it's real corny. It's real cringy.
No, it's bad.
It's just cringy shit, And I am baffled still to this day how Jerry Seinfeld, with his comedic chops, got to this level. Because it's all the show, right? He's very clean. he's clean. He's clean, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's very like.
Mm-hmm. And in these early seasons, they put it in the show too.
Yeah,
like
multiple times.
They cut to at least like 3 times. It's just like, oh.
You think it was just a vehicle, like trying to push his stand-up?
No, of course it had to have been at this early stage. It had to have been like, if anything, they get 5 episodes. If anything else, people will see your stand-up and they'll buy tickets to your show.
Yeah,
right. And you know what? I mean, I guess in that case, this is what a podcast would do for a comedian these days.
Wow.
Is that we get overrun with like every comedian doing the same podcasts a million times over. I'm happy to say that none of us are comedians, so we don't fall into that category. We're just some normal dudes talking about a show that we love a lot.
We just think we're funny.
We just think we're funny. No, Ron, we know we're funny. That's the thing.
True.
We know we're fucking funny, right?
Well, I met some comedians last night, man. Let me tell you, they are a very strange bunch of people.
I told here's the thing: is that Jerry Seinfeld, most comedians that are good at their job and are like worth a damn with their jokes and their writing, they are not stable people.
No,
there's something wrong with them. And to me, those are the best comedians. Unfortunately, I mean, for them, they gotta like work through some shit out. But Jerry is like the most normal comedian person probably that you can ever think of.
Yeah, too many things go right for him to be funny. Like
like his I don't think he suffered much in his life. He's just like, what can I find as funny around here? And let me what's wrong with the finger? Remember last time, like, I'm gonna bring out my toe, and everyone's like, it's just so bad.
Do you think it's just like a product of the time? Like, do you think like a Seinfeld could get like as popular now? or get as much.
No, not even close. Here's why I say this. I think Larry David is the reason why a lot of this works, because Larry David is fucked up.
Well,
Larry David's the weird one in this relationship.
Yeah.
Like where Jerry's kind of the stable one. You can kind of like corral in Larry David, because Larry David, you've seen his hair. You've seen when he's younger. Like that's the weird looking dude. And every like weird scenario that we've seen in a Seinfeld episode that comes with like Jerry or like any sort of like really out of bounds kind of like a situation that they put themselves in. Dude. That's because Larry David's really put himself in those situations. And I think there was a scenario where I think George was like, why would, I'm talking to Larry David like behind the scenes. He's like, why would anyone do that? He's like, I did it. Like I did, you know.
Yeah.
So,
he's like, no one would react this way. He's like, no, it's exactly.
That's exactly how I reacted.
I did.
Well, I guess, I guess Jerry made his money on the show versus the stand. Did he get rich from the stand up? No, right?
No, this is all the show, dude. Like that's what I'm saying. Like,
show in the B movie also was a huge.
The B movie.
The B movie also helped his bank account as well. Yeah.
I disagree with you guys. I think it's unfrosted. No,
oh yeah, that's right. Didn't he have like a interview recently where he was talking about comedy and like I can't remember, but Ron, did you see when he was trying to like bring like this he was trying to bring like this young swag? Like have you seen those pictures of him in like the fucking like the young men's clothing, I'll say? Like have you seen that?
Oh, like he's recently
Yeah, it's like B-boy clothing in a way.
Really?
You haven't seen that?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that.
I'll have to show you some pictures, man. But it's like, dude, it's like, what is he doing, man? Like, this is not your look, man. Like, what is going on? I don't know.
Strangely enough, like I think in that scenario, like young ladies,
he's like wearing Supreme clothing and stuff. Dude. Shit, man.
He's always been low key a hype beast, dude. He wears like.
I guess
he wears
so,
the
dude.
Jordan. He wears the J's all the time.
Yeah, man.
He always has like a nice jacket or like a Nike blazer,
you know, that's true.
A not blazer, but like a windbreaker on or something like that.
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah, man. He grew up in New York.
Yeah. It's like, he's got the East Coast flair.
You think Jerry Seinfeld was around when hip hop was coming up? Like, you don't even know. Like,
no, maybe. Shit.
But yeah, so I mean, I think the primary thing of this episode is the fact that he's getting involved. He's involved with a friend of his that he wants to break up with. But there's something else I'm forgetting here. I know George dealing with a woman where he took. I think he like. I don't know if he has a girlfriend or like he was talking to a girl and he took out something out of his pocket and he had like dental floss. Dental floss.
Yeah.
He's afraid she's gonna break up with him because of it.
Because of the dental floss, right?
Yeah, and then he names all the shit that happened through the date, and it's like, are you sure it was the floss? Like,
oh yeah, because she was like, she said, oh, maybe she should have sent me off with a sandwich, right? If she was gonna break up with him or something.
Yeah.
Oh, he sat there and ate the sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah.
After the breakup, it's like I don't know.
And he still had to pay for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like she broke up with me. She couldn't even just send me off with a sandwich. That's funny, dude. You know, it's becomes like a thing with George and his breakups and how he.
My man's rocking a fanny pack too in this one.
Oh yeah, that's the one Jerry points that out, that that George is wearing a fanny pack. And you know, that's funny that you would think back in those days they were somewhat in style. I mean, The Rock was sporting one.
Yeah.
Dwayne Johnson was sporting one.
They're actually more in style now, like the fanny pack.
That's
and
true.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
Dudes wear like those shoulder, like the straps, packs.
Hey, also, man, George. He brought the puffy jacket look, dude.
That's
that one season with the Gore-Tex. He brought that look, man.
He's a trendsetter.
He's a trendsetter.
You know, I think we're just misunderstanding that George is really a fashion icon.
He might be.
No, his fit in the last episode with the apartment with like the beige jacket and like the white shirt. That shit was pretty good, man. Yeah. George walked in. I was like, damn, okay, George, I see you, bro. You got the jacket on and everything. Like,
yeah, man. Just trying to make it work, you know.
Yeah.
Now my favorite,
George-
my favorite fit for like Seinfeld. I always liked, and dude, I've been trying. I'm gonna do this, man. I like the black turtleneck with the like the gray blazer or whatever. Like,
Oh, did we see that?
no, he's done like he does that a couple times. He wears like the black
Oh,
turtleneck
okay,
and he'll
right,
have like
right,
a blazer or like a sports coat.
Mhm.
I might do that. I'm gonna start rocking that. He should have wore like a little gold chain though, like around.
Should have, yeah.
One of the aspects of this, again, going back to the male breakup, was that Jerry. We see that Jerry is a bit of a. He doesn't like confrontation, right? And he creates a list of excuses to give someone,
Yeah.
or to give his friend, his alleged friend. That way, he doesn't have to think about it. And there were many things on that list. Did you guys? What kind of excuse would you give, so to speak, if you had to like get out of something with someone?
Well, me, I have an easy out, man. Are you talking about the list that he gave, or are you talking?
No, just like
on
a
my own?
list you left. I'm
have
just saying, like,
dude,
you
my man,
gotta-
I got the easiest one. I have a kid, so I can be like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, that is.
You see, I don't think mine works as much. Like you have a pretty set one,
yeah, man.
and no one can question you,
Yeah.
right? No one can
How
question
dare
you.
you question my
One,
my
I don't
parents?
have kids, so I can't use that excuse, right?
It is my dog or something. I don't know if I could use that.
Well, see, like the thing is, like I don't even think I could use a dog excuse, like unless
yeah.
unless you. Like, well, here's the thing: is that like, what's a guaranteed excuse you can almost use all the time? Because I can't use a dog excuse all the time. It's just not going to work. I can't use my mother as an excuse because, like, with your kid, you got to be with your kid
Well, your
all
mom,
the time.
I mean,
No, I know, but the thing is that you have a child, and the child requires more
Care.
attention,
Like, yeah.
and you have to be with them all the time.
yeah,
Right. If you say, "Well, I have my kid, I got to go get my kid," that's like almost like you can't. There's no question, right?
You know what? You could always say you left your stove on.
All the time.
Like,
Guys, I did it again. I left the stove on. I got to get out of here. Like, I can't. Well, what if someone's like calling me or texting me and they're like, "Hey, you want to go out this day?" I'm like, I left my stove on.
yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna be leaving my stove on today.
See the American Psycho. I gotta return some videotapes. Or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Oh, that doesn't work anymore either. You
That-
can't
no, it
get
doesn't.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Damn fucking shit.
Well, you could. I don't know, man. You could always use like a chick's excuse, like you gotta wash your hair. Like what was
you
it?
want to
gotta
know
wash
the
my hair
excuse
again.
I used to use a lot.
Yeah.
And mind you, it kind of works, but at some point or another, like if I'm not like making like millions of dollars off something,
Yeah.
like people think like, why you so I used to say, well, I'm sorry, I'm like recording a podcast, right?
Oh well, that's
The thing is, like, see, like
Sounds
that's
professional,
but that's
like,
what I'm
it
saying.
sounds-
I'm saying is that like, yes, that may be something I'm doing, which is true, but like I feel like if I were to say like, yeah, I'm recording a podcast on this day, like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't hang out with you after like the millionth time you've asked me to hang out.
my art comes first.
Right? Right? Or say, and then they go, well, how much are you making? That's none of your business.
That's none of
Thank
your
you.
business.
Like,
I sacrifice for my art.
Yeah, you don't do it for the money, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
Speak your truth.
I'd be like, well, I got like 3 Patreons,
Yeah.
Patreon people that donate money to the cause, like how much? Again, that's none of your business.
Yeah.
And I go, and they're not any family members, so I think it's official. Like I have to be there for them,
Yeah.
I have to record content for my fans, no matter how many they are, But yeah, so like I always think that at some point or another, I've had that excuse going on for a long time, like, and mind you, I would get some backlash about that too. Like if I said, "Oh, I'm recording a podcast," and they're like, "Oh, again." Like again, like
Again?
your hobby's not done yet. I go, would you tell someone like who had a band and they were
Right.
like practicing and they had a show to do? Like,
Yeah.
is that the same kind of excuse you would
Haven't
give
you
them?
gotten the season finale yet on that?
How many seasons are you on with that? Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what kind of excuses I can give. Usually, I just say at this point in my life, I just gotta say, I'm just gonna be at home doing nothing. I'm sorry. That's if they can't buy that, then I don't know what to tell them.
Mhm. It's true.
Ron, do you have any excuses you use? I mean,
I mean, yeah, I have excuses, but I don't have like a main one where it's just like, oh. Usually, honestly, the best thing to say is something came up.
Yeah, that's usually yep.
And
That's basically it.
Yeah, it's vague enough, and they, and if they pry, it's getting into like a rude territory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's personal. You know.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Oh, what happened?" I usually be like, "Oh, no, don't worry, everything's okay. It's just I just need to do something." And it's just me watching like TV.
Yeah, and
playing a game.
that's a valid excuse too. That is a valid excuse because sometimes I do the same thing. I just
Well,
watch
this is
TV.
going back to this. This even ties into the episode with George the answering machine.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I'm not at home.
Yeah, I'm just screening the calls. Leave me alone. We're kind of like watching a little bit as we're talking about it, and right now we're the scene in the episode where George is taking a bunch of pennies to the bank, and thank goodness for Coinstar, or any of
they take a percentage.
They do take a percentage, yes, but it's a convenience percentage, right?
Well,
It's a
how would
convenience
that change the episode now? He's got to take it to Coinstar. Of course, he'd be like, "Yeah, Jerry." Jerry would be like, "Why don't you just take it to Coinstar? They take a percentage, Jerry."
I'm not going to have them take my money, Jerry. And then I get Kramer's like, "Oh, I'll roll them for you, buddy."
Yeah.
And then there's just a mess that ensues, Oh my god, dude! George, when George is taking this to the lady, and I think it's rude to just kind of assume that they're gonna roll it up for you.
Yeah.
Especially you're gonna take up this whole line, and like you have a huge jar full of pennies. George saying that, what am I gonna quit my job to roll these pennies?
Yeah.
You know what? I've rolled what would have been maybe like $20 worth of pennies, and it took fucking hours.
We used to roll pennies.
It took
I
hours.
remember at my grandmother's house, we would roll like quarters and pennies. Not quarters, but like she had the different rolls for the different coins. But man, yeah, I fucking like remember that shit. Doing the pennies is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know if any of y'all have done that lately because I really don't carry change. But
I have a jar full of pennies.
You know what? You should do like a whole like time lapse of you trying to do that.
Why not?
I guarantee you that would get some views. The people you're just doing like
have you had the conundrum where they talk like, or has anyone given you the whole like, would you rather take like $500,000 in cash or $1 million in like pennies or some shit like that?
Oh,
because then it's like, because people are saying like, do you know how much like $1 million in pennies is? And like, what are you gonna do with all that? He's like, you'd have to hire like a team of people to roll all those pennies. Like, even then, it would.
And how much you have to pay them, right?
Yeah. So
you know what? If you were to pay them, say you had like 10 people, you got to pay them $10,000 out of that $1 million to do that. You pay them $1,000 each to like roll these pennies and shit.
With the if it's in pennies, would all the copper, like the metal itself, be worth more or less than how much like the monetary value is?
Oh, I don't know.
Because at that point, if it's worth more, just melt that shit down and just sell the copper.
Yeah, that's a good point. Make them into big ingots.
Yeah. Make a big penny like Batman.
In China. That'd be kind of cool.
Make a big penny and then sell that as like a tourist attraction. Like, just have it set up.
Then you have passive income now.
I took 1 million pennies or $1 million of pennies and just made millions and millions of dollars off of this. Well,
this is the pizza episode.
Yeah,
too, right?
This is also where we're getting more of a hint of like Kramer's character, and where he has these like wacky ideas. Now, is this really that wacky? Is it really that wacky? You are getting people to make their own pies. What did he call the place?
Well, it's American Industries.
It's Kramerica Industries, right?
But I don't know what he was going to call the pizza place.
This is the first iteration of Kramerica Industries. And it's the idea of
the fucking Seinfeld in his apartment,
Porsche,
the Porsche poster. That's so 90s, dude.
Yeah.
Who the hell has that, right? But so Kramer's idea is that people are gonna make their own pies, right?
Yeah.
Is that the main idea?
Yeah, their own pizza pie.
Yeah. Now I feel that this idea comes back up in later seasons, right?
I think it gets brought back. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know at some point, you know what? It's whenever Jerry's dating that girl whose dad, Poppy, where he doesn't wash his hands and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kramer and Poppy go into like a they're trying it out, where Kramer's in the back like
Yeah.
trying to make his own pie, and he's like doing a really shitty job.
Yeah.
And Poppy gets pissed at him because he's not making the pizza right. He's like, "You don't put that on the pizza." And he's like, "I can put whatever I want." That's the whole thing. And then that obviously blows up in their face. And I think that's when Poppy doesn't wash his hands, and then like people
Poppy
get sick and all this kind of
kind
shit.
of sloppy.
Yeah. So, but again, we get more iterations of Kramerica Industries, and that's a nice little side story that comes out later on, and it gets again more wacky as the seasons go on. But this one seems like probably the most logical of Kramer's ideas, because I know he does like one of like I think peanut butter and jelly or some shit like that.
In
I
the
don't know.
same. Oh yeah.
And
Wait, he does. That's when they had the bladder for the oil.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
after that, he does bring the peanut butter and jelly in the same
Yeah.
jar. But they have
Yeah.
that now.
yeah.
Wow.
No, that was before.
Did he
Like,
discover that?
no, he didn't discover that. That was Kramer did not discover Smucker's mixed up peanut butter and jelly
Well,
shit.
I don't know, man. I mean, I hadn't heard about it before that, so
Well, I mean, then you weren't trolling around the grocery store,
I guess
right?
not, man.
So we have Elaine and Jerry in this one of these last episodes here. After Jerry has kind of like pawned off his friend, because of course whenever he tried to break up with him, he started crying, and Jerry, to avoid any conflict, offers to take him to was it a football game?
Yeah, the Knicks.
No,
game.
a Knicks game.
Basketball game. Sorry, and at some point or another, he gives him the other ticket because he doesn't want to go, and because George was supposed to go with Jerry, Jerry gives away George's ticket. Then at some point, to avoid hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
Ron would know that. Is this a Latrell Sprewell era's Knicks?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's early, like 1991.
Yeah, it's in the 90s. That's he was the guy that choked his coach.
I think so.
Yeah.
I know they said Patrick Ewing is on the team, but he was on the team for like ever.
Ah, gotcha.
And then they mentioned later on, he mentions like the Bulls, and he's like, you have to see Mike like on the court.
Oh yeah.
So like
He
kind of like dates like what it is. It might be. I'm not sure. I'll have to check the years.
Yeah, I remember that one. We talk about Kramer. He tries to do the 360 dunk or whatever, and he like smashes the trash can. And shit. Yeah.
So, like I said, back to this. Jerry thinks he's in the clear, that he's gotten rid of his friend and pawned off, gave him the extra ticket, his ticket as well. That way he can go off. But luck would have it that the Joel guy comes into contact with Kramer whenever they talked on the phone initially in the episode. So they went to the game together, and Joel is coming back up with Kramer after the game. And of course, Kramer's telling him all about the game and stuff like that. And he is kind of disappointed that he has to deal with this guy as he shows up in Jerry's apartment. And Jerry has to kind of fake the fact that he was teaching his nephew like calculus or some shit.
Tutoring his nephew. Yeah.
Tutoring his nephew. And that Joel, again, just puts himself in this situation where he has to like introduce Elaine to Joel as well, and Joel to Elaine, and that he's gonna try and get them to hang out with him again, and they have to keep on giving them these excuses. They're gonna go to choir practice, then they're gonna do some other thing having to do with a play.
The organ donor. No, they're
The organ donor thing. Yeah, the organ donor thing. Yeah, like it's this part of the episode kind of stresses me out a bit, because in my mind I'm just telling you, you know what? No, we can't do anything. Just say no, right?
Yeah.
We have other, you know what? You could just say, I'm hanging out with Elaine and we're going to go on a date and blah, blah, blah. And maybe just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But they can't bring themselves to just be so forward with the person that they had kind of beat around the bush,
man. Yeah.
and allow the guy to kind of like rope them in. And it's very stressful for me, this last part of this episode.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about this ending? Those fucking books. I just now I can't unsee it. Ron.
Yeah, it's
Just looking at those books in the background.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm distracted by his apartment too. He's got like that lamp on the wall. It's just like a mirrored finish, and then it's like I don't know. It's interesting too. He has family photos on his fridge.
It looked like old like little league stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was a baseball mitt in the back too.
I'm sorry, I forgot. How does it end though? With the
Oh, so basically, he's just like
He's
the guy is trying to go down the list of games where they can all go and see the game.
Oh.
Because he's like, how about next Thursday? And he's just like, we can't. And then he like pulls out the newspaper and he's like, well, I mean, there's 41 home games this season. So he starts like,
damn, dude. Well, you see, that's trying to teach you a moral here. Like, honesty is the best policy, man. You know?
Honesty is the best policy, but that's what I'm saying is that they can't be honest.
I know
they can't be honest. That was what's so stressful to me. You know, like they got to sit there and just like let the guy rope them in.
Or they rather sit there and like give like an excuse.
Yeah, like, an excuse for every single
one instead of like just say no or just like just to pick one and just.
Let me just. I mean, imagine he's going down like a couple months or a couple weeks later, and they got to still sit there and figure out a list. I mean,
but it's also on him. I would have took the hint after like once you take out the newspaper and you like say 1 or 2 dates and they're like, nah, that's when you're like,
yeah.
Well, I tried again.
See, the thing about this guy is that he doesn't take the hint, and he never has because he doesn't listen.
Yeah,
he doesn't take the hint. He's like completely
oblivious,
self-absorbed and stuff like that. That he just ignores anything or any hints that they're trying to give off, and is just like, yeah, it's whatever. I'm here. I'm the main attraction. I'm the one we need to pay attention to. And even so, like whenever Jerry was trying to be honest with the guy about breaking up with him. And then the guy is crying, but Jerry finds it kind of, I want to say offensive, but like the way the guy's talking to the waitress about like the sandwich that he wants to get, because he's like, oh, do you have like an actual bird back there or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a turkey.
Yeah. Does he have a turkey back there and stuff like that? And he's being really rude to the waitress.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like his cue to kind of break up with the guy. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the guy starts crying. And then the guy, as soon as Jerry's like, no, it's okay, never mind. Like, we're not breaking up or whatever.
Yeah.
He basically switches that back on. Is like, okay, that's over. Where's this waitress? And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, he starts turning into an asshole again. Because the guy's kind of an asshole, too.
Yeah, he is.
But, so... I mean, that's the end of that episode. Again, stories are very thin, not just one plot episodes. We don't get too far into it other than the fact that Jerry's trying to get rid of this friend of his that he just doesn't want to be around anymore.
Yeah.
I guess
unsuccessfully too.
Yeah.
It's the hints of like all the other plot lines are there though.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't see it. It's if it was a later episode in a later season, there would be like a scene where Kramer's like at least trying to work it out, or he's like talking to somebody about setting up like the pizza place or something like that.
Right.
We would see like the follow up to like George's like after the floss incident. We would see like the scene of him like seeing the girl again, and then like it not going well, or maybe like he's thinking too much into it and he like sabotages the relationship himself or something like that.
You know, maybe he tries to bring the floss like back again to see.
Oh, that would be
like she gets like some kind of grossed out interaction or something like that. Like
he tries to recreate it to see if the same reaction or
something. You know, there wasn't really much going on with Elaine.
No, she's kind of tied to Jerry's story on this one.
Yeah. So I mean, she didn't have much to do in that one. Just kind of like engaging with the fact that he has to deal with this person. Of course, she notices the excuses that he's writing down, and they kind of like have a discussion about that. But yeah, like I agree with you guys. Like that, or that would have been the extended plots of this. Of that episode, George interacting with that woman, and then Kramer kind of trying to flesh out his Krameric idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what do you think of this episode, guys? Like overall, Bryce?
Again, it's it's the first season, so it's just Seinfeld, Jerry censored. Like it's not. I want the subplots or the like the B and C plots, but it's like, I guess. I don't know, man. Like I do kind of enjoy the them scheming of ways to get out of the friendship. So I don't know, man. I'll give it a little bit. They're increasing a little bit for me slightly, but not by much. So I'll give it a 2.5 on this one.
There's hints.
There's hints.
There's
yeah,
hints.
they're laying the foundation because again, to America, which will come back into play later on. So they're laying that foundation for a better show. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I got you. What about you, Ron?
Actually, I really don't like this episode that much. I would probably rate it like a 1. I think. I don't know, the breaking up with like the male friend thing, like that's kind of funny. But for the most part, like this, and it's just this one like plot line, so like you're kind of stuck with it, and I just it doesn't really like.
All right, I got you.
Don't really jive with it too well.
I will give this episode another 2, just 2 flat. Primarily just because we mentioned before, we're getting hints of what could be of the subplots of all these episodes. And mind you, they kind of like brush over those, and then we kind of move on with Jerry again. But I just feel like we just get so much more interesting character development in the later seasons, because like we said, right now we're just following Jerry.
Well, even more interesting side characters too that come out.
Right, and those are the more
well, I mean, obviously the guy,
ones,
but like, yeah, it's just that.
Well, we get introduced to the parents.
Yeah.
We get introduced to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Newman and all that. Even some of the people that they work around, because I mean, I know they tried to initially in the first episode. That one waitress was interacting with them, and I think she was going to be like one of the main characters too, and that just seemed like completely off. But that's where like Elaine comes into the picture, you know, and then of course the dynamic between them, and then of course like the almost I don't know if it's like a disgust or like just a complete what is the word I'm looking for? Whenever you just see someone, you're just kind of like ugh.
Yeah, disgust sounds.
Is it disgust? I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's just between Elaine and like George and like Elaine and Kramer and stuff, because like how their relationship is and how Elaine treats them specifically, because like she like starts to become very comfortable around them too, and she treats them like shit, and they just take it.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I mean she and you know, and I mean we I could say we agree that Elaine is just like. Think she might be a little bit better than them as a whole, as a group of friends.
Well, yeah, that's why when she tries to get it to hang out with the Bizarro Jerry, and like they're like they're better people, I guess.
The better version.
Yeah, the better version of them. So
yeah, but then she realized she doesn't fit in there either, because she's just like them, you know, even though she just wants to not believe it. And so that's just our hints of Seinfeld and the rest of the characters in this particular episode. Again, we got a little bit of a glimpse, but not much, which lends itself to be not the greatest episode either. Well, that's another Seinfeld in the can there. We have one more episode to go, season 5, which is the season finale of season 1. I know we have a returning character, a girl that Jerry meets. I think it was in episode 2.
It's episode 2, yeah.
She comes back.
Lawyer, right?
Yeah. And you know, we got a bit of George whenever was he talking about that he was they're gonna go see Art Vandelay.
Yeah,
Art Vandelay. That character comes back later on.
Is that the import-export or the architect?
It's the architect.
Oh, the architect. Yeah. Okay.
He designs trains.
Yeah, yeah. I thought engineers did that. They can.
You know, that moment right there is like what we get more of later on in the seasons, and that's kind of like what we're looking for. The real meat of what makes Seinfeld a great show. Yeah. Right now, again, we're just getting a glimpse, and you know, I'm not mad at it, but I mean, this is how things develop. And again, we'll see what comes with the season finale of season 1, whenever we get to that one. So again, I just want to thank Ron for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Even though we get a lot of technical issues, which is, I swear to God, man, like we have been doing this for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We're going on our official 7th year now. right, of doing the podcast. And there's never a time, it really is never a time where things just go very smoothly. Like, there's always a technical issue, whether remote or whether in person. It just never fails. And you know what? I think I just have to finally accept that.
Yeah, I think that's gonna when you do like any kind of remote stuff. I think you're gonna have to accept that.
No, man, I'm not even talking about that. Like the times that we've been here in person, and I remember when I brought my other device.
Oh, you
and
forgot to, or
no,
yeah.
well, like one of the jacks wasn't working. I was like,
yeah.
I literally was working a second ago, and I turned it back on, and nothing. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, I just have to just expect it. And I know if Roland was here, he'd probably just agree with me because there's, again, even in person, nothing ever goes smoothly, ever, ever. And I just have to just accept that, you know. Never gonna be the podcast. You know, that's why I don't. I said this before to people, Ron, and I appreciate you, Ron, for joining us and like being patient with the situation, because I've told someone like where I wanted to bring over other guests that I don't know very well, like they're just people that I've kind of like probably networked with, right? And I'm always weary because since I feel like there's always something that goes wrong.
Yeah.
That I'm like, oh man, like they're gonna think that we're not professional over here, right? But I go, Ron, I go, Bryce, Roland, even our other acquaintance that we've met, Michael, Sharkwater guy.
Oh yeah.
Alistair Sharkwater. I'm always like, okay, like they understand.
Yeah.
In this situation, right? And I was like, man, like I don't think even if we had a studio setting, then we would bring someone over, like, all right, just start doing the podcast. Like everything's working fine, and the minute they sit down, something's gonna just fuck up. I'm like, no, and it's gonna be a big name that I can't. And they're gonna be like, "You guys fucking suck," and just walk out. And
all right,
throw the microphone off me and shit.
Yours is like an Odyssean type struggle, man. It's like the very gods are against you, and yet you persist on, man.
I will persist. Yeah. What did you say, Bryce? The last time we did a podcast, you're asking, was it Yorgos?
Yorgos Lanthimos? Yeah, I don't even fucking remember.
You said,
you defy the very gods.
Defy the very gods to make another movie.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now I feel that way too.
Yeah, man. Sorry.
Yeah. But I'm just battling the gods, and I will not let the gods destroy me.
That's right.
All right. Well, like I said, again, Ron, appreciate you joining us on these this episode and the one before this one.
Of course.
Hopefully we can schedule a time where we can do the season finale of Seinfeld as well. And Bryce, thank you for letting us into your studio.
Yeah, man. No
space.
Studio. My apartment, my living room apartment.
Hey, it's a studio space, right?
All right. Okay.
But yeah, so again, if you like these episodes, please comment, rate us, rate and review us, rate us terribly, rate us poorly, rate us mid if you like. Tell us what you think. And if you like Seinfeld, hopefully you will continue on this journey with us.
Yep.
Because there are 9 seasons and we plan on going through all of them. And this won't be the first sitcom or series that we tackle. We plan on doing many others. And we've already like kind of discussed a few of them.
Martin for sure.
Martin, yeah. We're planning not just sitcoms, but Forever Night, the vampire cop drama.
Forever
Night. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot. I think we're more like I don't want to say like obscure. Martin's not obscure necessarily, but like it doesn't
Forever Night sure the hell it is. I don't know too many.
Forever Night, yes.
I don't even know what that is, dude. What's that?
Oh, dude, my dad used to fucking stay up late to watch Forever Night.
Forever Night is a show that they would show like on I think Channel 5, maybe NBC.
Yeah, I don't know which.
And it was like an hour-long vampire cop drama.
It was a vampire cop. It was a cop procedural with vampires.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, dude, he was. I remember it because he was a. Well, obviously he's a vampire, right? So he worked the night shift, the night beat. He like this.
Yeah.
Because and I'll never forget. There was like an episode where like they told him like the big main plot of the fucking episode was that like he had an interview or some shit in the daytime. There's a scene where he's talking on the phone. He's like, yeah, when do I come in? It's like, yeah, it's gonna be at 3 p.m. And
Yeah, I
he's
think
just
they go
you know,
like the
and,
camera
go-
zooms
yeah,
in, you know,
goes
like
to his face.
the camera zooms in, like he's like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
He's like, oh god, yeah,
This looks awesome. And he's a vampire, so it's forever night.
Yeah, yeah.
His name's Knight.
And
His
it's
name's-
night because
yeah.
it's night shift.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And there's like another, like even an older vampire that has like a radio show, and that's like
Yeah.
that's how the introductions to the episodes would be. He'd be like, "Welcome, my children of the night," you know. Like
Yeah.
he'd introduce the fucking like the introduced episode like he's like a vampire Frasier essentially. He's like talking and shit. And,
You know, to be fair, there's a lot of like inspiration I've taken from wanting to be a podcaster / radio DJ.
yeah.
And one of them is that guy,
That
from
guy.
Forever Night, and then the lady from Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Mind you, I didn't want to wear the lipstick and be like, "Come on, beautiful people out there," like, you know, like that wasn't be me. You know what I'm talking about?
And
Yeah.
I bet you the lady from the Fog too.
No, not that one.
No?
Surprisingly not.
What
No,
about Chainsaw Massacre too?
no, not even that one either. No, the Warriors, the lady from the Warriors,
Yeah.
and the vampire from Forever
From
Night.
Forever Night.
But you know what? I'll also throw this one in there as well. Oh God, I forgot. Oh, Martin.
Martin, yeah.
Martin was a radio DJ too.
Oh, what? Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's like his
cool,
job.
yeah.
That's his job.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I've never
anyways.
seen Martin. I've seen episodes, but I've never like seen Martin.
No, I've been revisiting Martin quite a bit lately since I frequent TikTok, and I guess I was talking about Martin at some point, and like the algorithm or the phone heard me, and then I started getting like clips of people like watching Martin and just laughing at it, and I was like, man, I miss Martin, and then I started watching Martin again. But to be fair, before all that, Bryce and I were always joking around at work, talking about Dragonfly Jones or Shanae or what's the Jerome?
Jerome, yeah.
Yeah.
Jerome in the house. Watch your man. Yeah.
Excuse me. But yeah, so like many other things that we want to talk about, and right now we're just going to tackle Seinfeld since it is one of our favorites. And again, we appreciate you listening, and thank you for joining us. And hopefully you continue on the journey with us as we discuss Seinfeld. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
I don't have video. What am I doing?
All right.